And we're off and running on the Krug Show. Man, what a day. Went to practice, drove home, saw that the Niners have signed Brandon Aiyuk, 4 years, $120 million deal, $76 million in guarantees. He's not going to Pittsburgh. He's not going to Washington. He's not going to New England. He's staying right here in Northern California, and he will be a 49er. And he bowed to the Niners, not the other way around, because according to Adam Schefter, the deal has been on the table since August. Or I guess we are in August, but since earlier this month, since August the 10th. Aiyuk accepts the same deal that he was offered on August the 10th. The hold-in, according to Schefter, did not alter any part of his new 4-year, $120 million extension. He took the same deal that has been there for the past 3 weeks. And so the hold-in has ended. And Brandon Aiyuk will be a 49er. I feel, I got lots of feelings here. Lots of feelings. One, just what a freaking ordeal. My God. Look what this took. Look how long this took. Now, on one hand, I don't want to complain at all in any way, shape, or form, because the Krug Show did very, very well this offseason because of this said controversy, this Aiyuk holdout. The Niners may have lost, the Aiyuk may have lost, but the Krug Show won. No, I'm just joking. The Niners win, Aiyuk wins, but we were big winners because we talked about it endlessly, because it never went away. And the story was just a constant. And, I don't know what to say about this. I mean, for me, I think this is the best result. And I tweeted this. I tweeted a congratulations. I think this is the conclusion that for this season made the most sense. I mean, it made no sense to trade one of your best weapons, who's arguably Brock Purdy's favorite down the field weapon, your most dynamic downfield weapon, you're going to take away in a year where you're trying to win it all. And I like the idea of drafting rookie receivers, but anybody who knows football knows that outside of Randy Moss and a select few guys, Anquan Bolden, there's a couple others, most rookie receivers don't achieve to their talent level. They bust out in year 2, year 3, year 4. The great Jerry Rice, had a bust out late in his rookie year, where things, he had the dropsies for a good part of his first year. So that's kind of the tradition of rookie receivers in the NFL. So the Pearsall cowing, we're going to replace Aiyuk, maybe down the road, but this year that was going to be a tall ask, even if Pearsall had been healthy. So I'm glad this is done. I'm glad this is done. 2, this is the conclusion that makes the most sense if everything else that we know about the Niners is true. If this is indeed their time, if they are still inside their Super Bowl window, if they prioritize winning that 6th Lombardi, then this was the only conclusion, especially when you read that 2025 draft picks and no players reportedly were in the deal coming from Pittsburgh. That right there, by definition, is a losing scenario. To me, there was only one kind of intriguing kind of question of like, what's the priority deal? And that would have been with New England. And that would have been if New England had offered their first round pick in 2025. Why? Because New England's awful. And New England's probably going to be the worst team in football this year, if not the worst team. That is for sure. Their 2025 first is a lock to be in the top 5. So if they had put that on the table at any point, that would have been tough to pass up. You need a tackle. Trent's not going to play forever. You need, you're a great team. You've been in the NFC Championship game most years, so you're never picking in the top of the first round. Heck, you just came off of giving away 3 number 1 picks for Trey Lance, for crying out loud. So you've really squandered. The 49ers could have built a much greater team than the team that John Lynch has built to this point. Because of the Trey Lance trade, they don't have foundation pieces that they probably should have had. And somehow they're withstanding that. And that's how good John has been on day 3 of the draft. That's how good they've been in free agency. They've made some great trades. They traded for Christian McCaffrey. He's one of the best players in the league. So they've done a lot of good things, but they've really had a hit and miss track record in the draft, especially in the first round. And the Trey Lance thing was a killer. But what does it mean? It means, yeah, you can't pay everybody in the NFL, but to me, it's like you got to be able to pay your greatest players. When you can't pay your greatest players, either the system's broken or you just have too many great players. And maybe that's really it. At the end of the day, the NFL cap's going up all the time, but the Niners have 23 or what was it, 13 of the top 30 or something like that. They had a ridiculous percentage of the top 30. I think it was 23% of the top 30 players in the league are 49ers. So, there's 32 teams in the league. So that really speaks to why they're having cap problems. That and their quarterback will make the biggest one-year jump in the history of the cap. Brock Purdy's going to go from making under $1 million to maybe 60 times that. I mean, what? 60. Brock may make $60 million or more if you look at the way the quarterback numbers are going up. We'll see. That's next year's story. But for tonight, Brandon Aiyuk is in the fold. 4 years, $120 million, $76 million in guarantees. The Niners have their number 1 receiver weapon. I was wondering where this was going, listening to Lynch last night saying, and Debo's here. And, it's like, what are we doing here? Are we pitting these guys against each other? I don't know what and you knew something was going to happen in the next few days. Why? Because the 49ers essentially, after the cut down, went from training camp mode of, hey, we got 90 players, do whatever the heck you want. We can work it out. We got 90 players. We got 89 other players, Brandon. So you want to hold out. You got a back injury. Sure, you got a back injury. But they played hardball as soon as this thing flipped to the regular season. Why? Because you only have so many roster spots. And you just gave one to Brandon Aiyuk. And they're valuable. And guys who have roster spots in the NFL got to play. They got to practice and they got to play. Otherwise, they got big problems. And so you knew this thing was coming to an end, either one way or another. They were either going to trade him or sign him. The 5th-year option, I know it always sounded good to the people who were like, I'd tell him you're going to play on that 5th-year option. All I would say to the people who kind of went with that is I would guess, and I'm not pulling rank or anything, don't go there. I would guess you haven't covered the NFL from within the locker room. And you're looking at the players as kind of just, like students at a school. They're not students at a school. This is a big money, multi-million-dollar business deal, and they're partners in a business, and they got a seat at the table. And the biggest stars have even a bigger seat and have more influence. So it sounds good to say, I would have told Brandon, you're playing on that 5th-year option. And yeah, could the 49ers have pushed this thing through? And they didn't give any ground. Yeah, they had the ultimate leverage. And so it makes sense that Brandon ultimately caved because the Niners had the leverage. And it was easy to see if you played this thing out that it could be really ugly, but they would have the leverage. I think what today tells you is one thing. Two things really. Niners had the leverage, and Brandon Aiyuk at his core loves what he does. He's a football player. It's football season. It's time to play. Lynch said it. Aiyuk, I know a lot of people viewed it as hostile. I bet if Aiyuk was standing right there, he would maybe not like it, but he would agree with it. It's time to play ball. It's as simple as that. It's time to play ball. You made your statement. You made your point. You made your demands. The negotiation went on and on and on and on and on. You got your documentary. You got your dramatic, a lot of dramatic back and forth. Everybody, more people. Your Q rating is through the roof, right? More people are walking around in different cities in America who know Brandon Aiyuk's name today than they did 6 months ago. So if that's what you're after, you got it. You absolutely killed the Q rating. You got a nice contract. I would have sided with Brandon from the standpoint of I wanted to see the 49ers pay him his money because I think that there were elements that really suppressed his numbers that were out of his control. And I don't think he's a diva. He doesn't hold court. We've been talking about this for weeks. He doesn't hold court at his locker and just be like, hey, I didn't get the ball. I got the ball twice. Hey, Brock, get me the damn ball. Hey, Shanahan, get me. He doesn't do that. This guy blocks with a vengeance in the run game. He's a team guy. I've never seen him be like, hey, man, what's weird about this contract holdout is this is so unlike him. Like if all you knew about him was this holdout, you'd be like, man, this guy's a me guy. But he was the opposite of a me guy until this negotiation. So I think that has to be thrown out there. So anyway, I'm going to get into the chat. We're going to get your thoughts. I want to hear what you guys have to say. We got a bunch of people in here who have weighed in with a bunch of thoughts. By the way, this stream tonight is brought to you by Mancini's Sleep World, brand new sponsor of the Krug Show. Thank you to Mancini's for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. They're fantastic. We got a Mancini's bed. I'm loving it. Awesome. Best bed we've ever had. My wife loves it. I love it. The whole experience was great. We went into the store in San Ramon, picked out the bed we really liked. They took away the old mattress and set everything up, and it was just fantastic. Great experience, start to finish. Mancini's offers a 120-night guarantee with a range of brands and price points. And with Mancini's, you get free next-day delivery. So click the link below or go to sleepworld.com and get yourself a Mancini's mattress. And go in there and tell them that you're a big fan of the Krug Show and get yourself a Mancini's mattress. Click the link below. Go to sleepworld.com. Find a bed that works for you, whether you shop online or visit in store. All you got to do is use the code KRUG10. Here we go. There you go. You go into the Mancini's Sleep World store and you use the code KRUG10 and you'll get 10% off. Could be, multiple hundreds of dollars that you're saving here just because you're a fan of the Krug Show. So once again, KRUEG10, KRUG10 at sleepworld.com or in stores at Mancini Sleep World. And you get 10% off your mattress purchase just because you're a fan of the Krug Show. KRUG10 and get 10% off. Use that code. If you don't use the code KRUG10, you don't get the 10% off. It's a fantastic deal. Thanks to Mancini's for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right. And of course, thanks to the title sponsor of the Krug Show, Pig and a Pickle. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. Go get some brisket chili, and tell them that Krug sent you. All right. Overall, this was exhausting. And I think the 49ers have to reassess. I think they do. I think, Jed, Parag, I think they need to reassess their not negotiating tactics, but their timelines. And see if they can avoid this, because this doesn't make, I stated that Brandon's Q rating's better. Yeah. More people know Brandon Aiyuk, but guess what? Most of those people that know Brandon Aiyuk now for the first time don't like him and think he's selfish and thinks he's a me guy and thinks he's all about himself. And if I read you the comments on my Twitter from today, it's an amazing, people trade him, get rid of him, enough already. This is, it's amazing how people just really, really personalized his business decision. Okay, so I put out the question, where is Aiyuk? He's a no-show. He's gone UA. How will the 49ers react? And most of the reaction was like, cut him, trade him, take his money, give it to Trent, banish him from the kingdom. We can't stand him. And it's all, just is this what it takes to get paid in the NFL? Or is this a Niner thing? Is this what it takes to get paid on the 49ers? Had a lot of high profile contract situations here. And Trent's still not done. So, hey, they got this one done. And good for Lynch. Now, I guess the question I would ask you guys is this. Because it's a hard cap, right? It's the NFL and it's a hard cap. So you can sign almost any one player you want, but it's about decisions, right? It's like governing. You got to make decisions. And, you got to make decisions on your roster. So what do you want to pay for? You want to pay for a left tackle? You want to pay for big-time receivers? You want to pay for a big-time defensive tackle? You want to pay for a number one corner? You can pay for almost anything you want, but you got to kind of prioritize what you want to pay for. Do you think the 49ers are doing this right? A lot of people would look at their cap and say, wait a second, they're 32nd in the NFL in rush attempts. Or in pass attempts, I should say. 32nd, dead last. The Niners run the ball the most. The Niners pass the ball the least. They're last in the NFL in pass attempts per game. Last, dead last. Should they have $65 million of their cap tied up in JJ, Aiyuk, and Debo? Is that a prudent use of their cap? So that's, I think, a fair debate. I mean, forget Aiyuk, take Aiyuk out of the equation. You've already paid Debo $28 million. Was it smart to use your cap when you're this much of a running team on 3 wide receivers? Is that smart? So there you go. There's a lot of angles on this thing. I do think I'm glad that they're retaining their great players, because when you get to a point where you can't retain your great players, the fans start to get really bummed out. They buy the jerseys. There's a bunch of people walking around with Aiyuk jerseys who are like, whew, there's $120 not down the drain. Thank God he's not leaving, So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are invested, not just emotionally, sometimes financially in these players. So I'm glad they got it done, because let's be totally honest. I don't think, do you guys think that the deals that you heard were good deals? Amari Cooper and a couple picks or Brandon Aiyuk? Amari Cooper's 30. Brandon Aiyuk's 26. That's 4 years of prime. How many years of an NFL prime constitute the entire prime? 7 years? So you're going to give away over half of the prime for an older player? Prime is 25, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. That's kind of your prime in the NFL. It's early. It's an early prime. Aiyuk still got 26, 27, 28. And he'll probably age pretty well. So he's got some prime. I mean, where Amari doesn't have prime. And then the Kendrick Bourne thing was like, are you kidding me? You're going to trade Brandon Aiyuk and take back Kendrick Bourne? So, and then the Steeler thing, you're just a second and a third. And the latest thing I had read today was like, yeah, the Niners are going to take the Steelers picks, and then they're going to somehow see what teams fall out of the playoff race and try to turn around and turn that draft capital around at the trade deadline to acquire a receiver to replace Aiyuk. That is a game. That's a solid game plan inside your Super Bowl window. You're going to give away in, September and October, and basically wait to be full and whole until the November trade deadline. I mean, so that made no sense. Trading him for 2025 draft capital. That was going to be very unpopular to Trent Williams. Hey, Trent, we just traded our star wide receiver, and we're going to take back picks in next year's draft. bro, I don't even know if I'm going to be here next year. You know, our Shanahan said, we may not be alive on Sunday. So anyway, they get it done. They get it done. This is the best conclusion. Why? Because if the Niners didn't have Aiyuk, I don't know what they are in Vegas right now, but they would be a lesser. Right now, I think they're the favorite to win the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. They would be they would either not be the favorite or they would be a lesser favorite if Aiyuk was traded today for draft picks. And, you know, I was intrigued by the Aiyuk trade talks because I was dreaming the big dream. You know, get fair value, get a day 2 pick and 2 players that you could really use. I mean, like, what would fair value have been? I mean, you know, forget what these teams were willing to pay. And this is a 26-year-old all-pro wide receiver. This is an elite perimeter talent. Now, I don't know if is he Justin Jefferson? No. Is he Jamar Chase? No. Is he as good as Tyreek Hill? No. So what? So he's not the elite. He's in that next tier. He's still damn good. He's a really good wide receiver who's also, you could argue, perfectly suited to play on your team because he blocks in the run game with a vengeance. Like it's like he takes it personal. Like he's getting paid for the rushing yards per game from the 49ers. I mean, I love the way Aiyuk blocks in the run game. He might block better in the run game than any receiver I've ever seen. He reminds me of John Taylor. If you said to me, who does Aiyuk remind you of? John Taylor. He's John Taylor. He's tough. He's got long arms. So whatever he is, he's bigger. You know what I mean? So he's like, he plays like 6'4", but he's like 6'1" and change. John Taylor played huge. Long legs, long arms, tough as hell, great return guy, could take it to the house. Kind of didn't talk a lot, right? Kind of was totally in the shadow of Jerry. Similarly to the way that Aiyuk is, some people think Aiyuk's better than Debo, and you could argue that Debo is a bigger star than Aiyuk. So he's partly in the shadow of, the receiver didn't go with Aiyuk, did they? They went with Debo and Kittle. So, I mean, but he's a great player. And he reminds me a lot of John Taylor because he's got those long arms and he plays bigger. And he doesn't have a great 40 time, but he plays fast and he runs away from you and he makes dynamic plays. So the best way the best conclusion for the Niners, if you're a Niner fan, and if you're a Niner fan, you want to see him win the Super Bowl. So the best conclusion was this guy is back. And all I would say to the people who maybe you fired off a tweet that you kind of regret now, and maybe you should take a look at your Twitter and see, did I fire off a tweet I didn't want to? Well, if you did, you got my advice would just be, in the future, don't get like emotionally involved in other people's business decisions, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not life and death. It's football business decisions. People were getting bent, like getting angry, firing off all kinds of insults and, questioning people's manhood and just people go crazy on, with a little bit of pressure, but just don't personalize other people's business disputes. You want to observe, but don't, and if you're going to comment, but don't get so emotionally invested that you're like spewing hate, about a business, dispute that doesn't involve, or neither side is you. That's kind of where I would draw the line. But it's a great day. So I think it's a great day for the Niners. This has been a weird camp. One of the reasons it's been a weird camp is that when you take a super dynamic player off the field, the whole thing felt muted all summer. Just felt muted. And then Shanahan looks dog tired. And Lynch looks like he's been through the ringer as well. And I just think the Niners look like they just look a little worn down. Maybe it's these holdouts. Maybe it's the losing the Super Bowl. Maybe it's the shortened off season. But they look a little worn down. And hopefully Aiyuk's presence as one of the most dynamic players in his prime at 26, hopefully he hits the ground running. Now, the other thing is I asked Shanahan the other day, I said, I said, because we thought he was going to practice yesterday. And Shanahan said, he'll be limited. And I said, well, okay, what do you mean exactly by that? And he said that he thought they would keep Brandon out of the team activities, at least to start. So they're going to ease him in. And I talked about this earlier today in a video. The more this gets closer to opening day, the more I worry less about Aiyuk and more about Trent. Why? Because Aiyuk's 26 and Trent's 36. And Trent hasn't played all summer. He hasn't been in camp at all. He's not even, what does he need? He may need more of a ramp up. There's only 10 days until the opener. He may need more of a ramp up. He may already be out for the Jet game. Now he's going to want to play. If he signs this weekend, he's going to want to play. But you got to ask yourself if that's wise. A 36-year-old man who hasn't played any football this summer. You're going to put him in there against the New York Jets like 5 days later, 6 days later? What if he tears a quad? What if he rips a calf? What if he, to me, that's what I would fear. I think I'd go Jalen Moore and ease Trent back. I know it's the Jets, national TV week 1, and, it's Brock Purdy's blindside, but, that's going to be, that's going to be a tough one right there. But I think the smart move is to take kind of the long range view of Trent and just ease him in, because 36, you're not nearly as limber. 36, you're an older player. The worst thing the Niners could do is not have Trent or Aiyuk all summer, sign Aiyuk on the 29th of August, sign Trent, the next day or two, and then have Trent blow out something because he's trying to ramp up too fast at 36. So that's kind of how I feel about that. All right, we got this one from Atlanta 3, member for 8 months. Thank you, Atlanta. It says, Trent wants to reset the tackle market. The left tackles are more important than wide receivers. They should get paid like it. I bet he wants more money than Justin Jefferson. What he wants is probably $3 to $5 million. He's making 23. I think the AAV left on his deal is like 25. The Wirfs has reset the market at 28.5. Trent's the best. You could argue Wirfs is more valuable because he's younger and whatnot, but Trent is still considered to be the best. He grades out the highest. And even though he didn't have the best Super Bowl, oddly being penalized more than the Kansas City tackles, which made no sense if you looked at the way the regular season had gone. But as you can tell, I'm over it. But that this offensive line right now is they have to have Trent. They got to have Trent. So hopefully they can get this thing done. You got to have the big man, but even if you get it done tomorrow, do you keep him out against the Jets? And I think I would. I think I would take the long range view, just a lot of money at this point. You got to think about the investment. And if you're going to invest that kind of money, man, it makes no sense to then take a 36-year-old guy who's been, he owns a gym, I guess. So it's not like he's sitting on the couch. He's lifting, but anybody who's played football will tell you that, lifting for football and playing football, not the same. So all the soreness you're going to have in your legs and your hamstrings, your quads and your calves, you basically, how well did he take care of his legs? What kind of condition is he in? And, it takes a while to build up. In an ideal world, you're playing for a little bit, then first preseason game, you play maybe a couple series, maybe, and then the next game you play a half. And usually by the first game of the year, most of the offensive linemen still have yet to play a full game in that first. Chris Forrester said it to us about a couple months ago. He's like, you always find out like what kind of shape your offensive line's in after the first drive in week 1, because it's a different level of intensity for week one and regular season than it is for the playoffs or than it is for the preseason. So you're ramping it up, then you're playing the whole game. Offensive line, the defensive line, they rotate. Offensive linemen, they don't rotate. I mean, the Niners rotated Burford and Feliciano, but that's not the norm. The norm is if you play 72 plays, Trent Williams plays 72 plays. Doesn't play 58, and then you have your backup tackle come in. He plays the whole thing. It's not like defense where they rotate guys through and they play a rotation. So, that's a different deal, right? You got to prep in the preseason to play 75 plays. You may wind up in a 75 play week one game in heat. You could be in Jacksonville or Miami or one of those places. So be very careful. That's all I would say with Trent and with Aiyuk. Be very careful. Take the long range view. You got good depth on this team. Is Jalen Moore a great offensive tackle? He would never be confused with Trent Williams. And he's a solid prospect, but you got to remember this. You got to think of it this way. If you're going to play him, don't you think right now would be when you would play him? He's in a rhythm. He's been playing, a lot at left tackle recently. He's been taking all the reps. The reps that Trent hasn't taken, this guy has taken. So you may want to just roll with Jalen Moore in week one because it's probably the right thing for both guys. Probably the right thing for the team, probably the right thing for Trent, probably the right thing for Jalen Moore. And then, let Trent get it revved up. And even if you lose week one to the Jets, I'd rather lose week one with a healthy Trent Williams than get him out there for 62 plays and have him, pull a quad and be gone for a month. So, but right now, I would trust Jalen Moore and the Niner backup offensive lineman more right now than I would even 6 weeks from now when they haven't played for, a month and a half. Right now, at least they've been playing and they got a rhythm and they got balance and they got, they're in shape. He's had a full camp. He's had tons of reps. So let's see what that would be my vote. If it came down to a vote, I'd say, give me Jalen Moore in week one against the Jets and let's get Trent revved up for week two and take the long range view, because bottom line is, do you need him in September? Do you need him in late August? No. But if you don't have him in January, you ain't going anywhere, and everybody knows it. So, and as his career progresses, he's probably going to have fewer games in the tank, and he may not have, it's a 17-game schedule. Doesn't mean that Trent Williams has 17 games in the tank. He might have 25 in the tank, but he also might have 12. So, if you're gonna pace him, take week one would be a perfect time to do exactly that. A number of interesting things are coming across the screen. I saw that a number of different guys. Looks like Lewis Seen has gone to Buffalo. Byron Young, who the Raiders cut, their third-round pick from Alabama, went to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is suddenly adding more talent to their defensive line. I mean, they're like the Niners. They'll just gather defensive line talent. I like that pickup though for Philly. Byron Young, I think, has got a lot more talent than he demonstrated with the Raiders. Raphael 562 Niners says, like and subscribe, everyone. Yeah, if you hit like, that just helps the algorithm. More people find us. If you hit subscribe and you click that notification bell, every time we do go live, you'll get a little notification that we've gone live, and you can join the stream. This was kind of the impromptu stream. Oh, by the way, tonight, for the first time ever, wait for this one. Tonight, for the first time ever, yours truly will be a PA announcer for a high school football game. First time ever. I've never done it before. Has anybody done PA announcing and could give me just any advice at all? I don't want to embarrass my kid because it's my kid's freshman football game, but they asked me to be the PA announcer. They're like, oh, yeah, you'll be great. I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then I'm like, I have no idea what to say. Seriously, I don't pay attention to the PA announcer when I watch a football game. When I'm at a football game, I'm in the press box. I really don't know how to. I don't know the rhythm of it. But this is what I got so far. I took some notes. Okay, Dan, look at Dan. Dan says, Larry, just be yourself, dude. Thanks, Dan. This is probably better advice. Law of awe. He says, tell lots of cuss words. Yeah. Nice fucking tackle. Unfucking believable, number 17. Just people running upstairs. Get him off. No. We didn't know he works blue. Butthead says, make sure you don't stutter. No. Tackle. Bob Smith. All right. And if you do have a stutter, we're not making fun of you. By the way, okay, so this is what I wrote down in my notes. Number 3, Henry on the carry. Okay. Safe, right? That's safe. It's going to be a run. It's a high school football game. There's going to be a lot of runs. I can just get the guy's name. Number 17, Johnson on the carry. Right? Sounds pretty good. Or brought down by number 12, Fletcher on the tackle. Do I got it down? Am I a natural or what? Joey V says, drink a beer and smoke a fat joint before you go. There you go. Dan Serrano, you're a natural, Larry. Bazzy Mian, awesome. Congrats, Larry. You're going to kill it. Just be sure to read all those roster names beforehand so you can pronounce the names properly. Yeah, I'm meeting the one of the assistant coaches at 5:30. It's a 6 o'clock kick. They're giving me 30 minutes of prep, and then I'm on. Oh man, I hope the goal: avoid national controversy. That's the goal. I just avoid widespread ridicule. Less is more. Dees says, good for you, Larry. Thank you. Yeah. Bay Area Sports 83. Larry, speaking Spanish. Chudley 716. Don't fuck up. Thank you, Chudley. Now I'm gonna fuck up because you said don't fuck up. Rob in the Bay says pound on the desk a lot. Dan Serrano says, Larry, that's gonna be fun as hell, man. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be fun. Vic Ferrari, mispronounce your son's name. He'll love it. My son. Do I go? Hey, here's the other question this is the other debate I was debating. Just last names, right? Just last names. Tackle by Klein. Run by Johnson. Sack by Smith. Right? No first names, just last names, right? When you go to the PA, like the Niner game, they don't go tackle Fred Warner, right? Don't they just get tackle Warner? Here we go. J49. Kruger on the tackle. Okay. Kev Niner says, Northgate Broncos, you're going to kill it. Yes. What if they get in for a touchdown? I'm like, touchdown Bulldogs when they're Broncos. That's like the want to get away. I could have a want to get away. This could be a want to get away night for me. It really could be. I will be streaming later tonight with Dieter. We normally stream it like around 8:30, but since it's football night, I told him, how about 9:15? So Dietz and I go off at 9:15. We'll talk more about this and we'll get more into it. So I'll give you my review and I'll grade myself toughly. I mean, I'm going to grade harshly. Because I have high standards, man. I really do. I don't want to embarrass my kid. I don't want to lose my YouTube channel tonight. Woodpit 420. Berate the coach for not playing Kruger Jr. both ways. Where's my kid on O? You know, that corner of yours right there can run a few pass patterns as well, coach. I've seen it in the driveway. Yeah. Butthead. Sounds good, Larry, but you need to give their pronouns too. Could you imagine if I was like that guy who was like who was passionate about the pronoun thing, and I brought the pronoun to the PA game? Oh man, we got Diddy Dev. Dead? D-Dev? Dead D-Dev? It says Damon Bruce is a PA announcer in the Bigs video game. Is he? I thought Damon did thought he did an NBA game from way back. All right. Well, we'll see. Clarsard. What can go wrong? What can go wrong? Tons can go wrong. I could lose face in the community. My wife could leave me. My son could be embarrassed in front of his friends and teammates. Andy says, do the Barbieri, do the Ralph voice. Tackle. Tackle number 43. Vis-a-vis number 77. Let's all go to Amici's. Oh, that would be epic. Or how about maybe my Trent Baalke? That was a hell of a tackle right there. That's a football guy. That 77 on the line is a football guy. I mean, I can only do like two. I could do like 2 plays, and then I'd be, I need some water. I need more water. J49 Kruger wrestled down at the 1. Yes. Woodpit 420. Avoid embarrassment at all costs. Oh, man. Wait a second. Somebody's taking me to task in my 5th-year option talk. Bro, Larry, you were talking about how you started to like the 5th-year option, and now you're backtracking, acting like you weren't in the party the whole time. No. I also love the idea of just saying, you know what, I'm done, 5th-year option. But it's kind of like it was one of my takes that's like, it's a good take and the video killed. But in reality, that's, the players have so much more control. You know what I mean? In reality, Brandon Aiyuk could make himself an island unto himself. He could absolutely turn the entire locker room into a very, very ugly situation if he wanted to. So that's, yeah. And believe me, when I did that video and it got so many views, I told Kev, I'm like, this thing's got tons of views. Because it sounds good. It's Damon's had this take many times. I want it done today. It always sounds good. But that's kind of like Rick Barry used to have this take. I would tell him unless he shot 100 free throws, he's not going to leave practice. It's like, well, Rick, I don't know if that would work. I think they would probably just go to the GM and say, fire the coach, or we're not going to show up for the game. You know what I mean? It's like, but he used to go with that quite a bit. So anyway, Reggie 2.0, you're probably right. If anybody had one take on the Aiyuk thing all the way through, congrats. Congrats. I tried to be consistent, but you're right. I was all over the fucking map. I mean, I'm going to own it. Reggie, there's a time to fight back and there's a time to own it. This thing went on for so long and we did so many different videos and so many different updates and thought it was going to be over here and thought it was going to be over there and so many twists, so many turns that you're right. At the end, we wound up having all kinds of different takes, including the one that you're referencing. And then, and yet I do feel that the people that were getting real serious all the way through on 5th-year option probably have never covered the NFL from inside the locker room, because the players do have a lot of say. It got a lot of hits, though. The video got a lot of hits, but you're right. At the end of the day, it wasn't a solid ground to be on for a long period of time. And thus I flipped and I flopped and I flopped and I flipped. Kill me over it. But thanks for supporting the channel, and hopefully I entertained you. And I try, I'll say this. I don't say anything for effect. I don't. I believe every take I have. I say everything that I think, and that I want to put out there. And you know what? That's it. Kruger Jr. on the tackle. Him. Just something tells me it's not going to go over that well. But you're right. If you're telling me that I've had multiple takes on the Aiyuk thing, I only can lean into it and say, got me. You got me. I don't run from stuff. I really don't. I kind of deal with everything kind of head on. It works for me. Bozzy Mion says Larry should announce like Greg Papa for the high school game. Touchdown, Walnut Creek. The way Greg does San Francisco. That would be pretty funny, actually. Touchdown, Walnut Creek. But what if the other team's also from Walnut Creek? But I like it. I like the thought. That's going to do it for us because I got to meet this woman in about 40 minutes. Oh, we have this one too from New York Gunner. He says, where does this rank BA pay wise compared to the other top receivers? Well, he would be, let's see, 4 years at 120. So he's at $30 million a year. And that puts him above Waddle. And I don't have the list of the top receivers, but he would be right there, right under Amon-Ra, slightly under Amon-Ra, I believe. It obviously put him beneath Jefferson. He should be beneath Jefferson. When Chase signs, he'll be beneath Chase too. He should be. I don't know. He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to make a lot of money. He's probably going to be like top 4 or 5. I think maybe top 4 or 5 is where it's going to pan out to. Maybe top 6, something like that. I have to see the list, but I think it's top 4 or 5. And eventually the next guys who sign, he'll be pushed down the list, so on and so forth. And then maybe he'll be like Trent and say, I've been pushed so far down the list, and now I want to renegotiate. He can hold out again. So there you go. I gotta go watch high school football, man. Tackle, once again, number 3, Henry on the carry, brought down by Fletcher, number 12. It's going to be a big night. It's going to be a big, big night. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Check them out there in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. Did I put this one up there from Nathan McFadden? It says BA has been Cadillacing it since August 10th offer date. Cadillacing it. He's not even out there. And thanks to Mancini Sleep World for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. I'm loving my Mancini's bed. Go to Mancini's. Everybody, if you want to support the show, go to Mancini's or go to their website, which is just sleepworld.com, and use the code Krug10, and you'll get 10% off your mattress. They offer a 120-night guarantee with a range of brands and price points. You get free next-day delivery. All you got to do is click the link below, go to sleepworld.com, find a bed that works for you. Whether you're shopping online or visiting in-store, use the code Krug10, and you'll get 10% off. That's Krug10, K-R-U-E, don't forget the E, K-R-U-E-G 10, and you'll get 10% off online at sleepworld.com or in any of their stores at Mancini's Sleep World. And thanks to Mancini's for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. That's going to do it for us. I'm off to watch high school football. Way to go, John Lynch, for getting this done. Niner fans, relax. Bring on the Jets. All is right with the world. Once again, on the tackle, number 13, Barbieri.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.